Everybody wants to win big. Everybody wants the dream life, the success story, the moment in the spotlight where the world claps for them and calls their name, but not everybody's willing to understand the process. See, there's a truth people don't like to talk about. It's not the 100% days that change your life. It's the 1%, that quiet effort when nobody's cheering for you, that early morning when no one's watching and you choose to show up anyway. That one small decision you made when you could have let it slide, but you didn't. That's the moment that starts a ripple, and that ripple becomes a wave, and that wave can shift your whole life. But you gotta be willing to make that 1% count. Most people are so busy trying to leap across mountains, they forget that real success is built by crawling up inch by inch. And if you can't master the inches, you'll never control the miles. It's not about how far you can go in one day. It's about whether or not you can move forward today just a little, whether you can be a little better than yesterday, stronger, smarter, kinder, clearer. Just a fraction, because that fraction repeated, that 1%, adds up to something the world will have no choice but to notice. But first, you've got to do it when no one sees. Let's be honest. Everybody's got dreams. But dreams don't mean anything without discipline, and discipline isn't about crushing it every day. It's about doing the small things without skipping. That 1% is the discipline of waking up and pushing yourself to read one more page, to take one more step, to make one more call, to do one more rep at the gym when your arms are shaking. That 1% is not glamorous, it's quiet, it's gritty, it's lonely sometimes, but it's necessary. You don't rise because you feel like it. You rise because you've trained yourself to move forward regardless of how you feel. That's the power of 1%. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if your emotions are up or down. It cares that you show up, that you deliver, that you honor the commitment to improve, even if it's barely noticeable today. You keep doing it, and eventually people around you start wondering what changed, but you'll know. It was that small choice. That small decision, repeated, protected, honored. You ever notice how winners in life aren't always the most talented? They're not always the ones with the most resources or the biggest head start. A lot of times, they're just the ones who never stopped. They just kept showing up. They kept investing that 1%. When others were looking for shortcuts, they were stacking effort. When others were chasing applause, they were building foundations. Because they knew something most people forget. Your future is hidden in your daily habits. Your legacy is formed in your routine, and your greatness, it's buried in your consistency. Everybody loves the highlight reel. Everybody loves the story of the big breakthrough. But no one talks about the long nights, the quiet mornings, the small wins that felt insignificant but kept momentum alive. That's what the 1% does. It carries you when motivation runs out. It keeps you grounded when fear screams. It reminds you that you don't need to do everything today. You just need to do something, and that something matters. People wait for inspiration like it's lightning. But the people who really rise, they don't wait for the lightning, they build the storm. One drop at a time, one decision at a time, one habit at a time. You don't need to figure everything out today. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to move the needle, even if it's barely visible, even if no one notices, even if it doesn't feel like progress. Because consistency is louder than inspiration, and when you add up 365 days of 1% improvement, you're not in the same league anymore. You're in another world. Somebody right now is thinking 1% isn't enough, and that's the mistake, because 1% every day is exponential. It multiplies, it sharpens your discipline, it trains your mind to stay the course. It transforms your character, and once your character is strong, success can't break you, struggle can't scare you, failure can't define you. You become someone who moves regardless of resistance, and that kind of power, that's unstoppable. You ever try to push a heavy boulder that doesn't move at first, but you keep pushing, day after day, just a little. Eventually it starts to roll, and once it rolls, momentum takes over. That's your life, that's your calling, that's your dream. It's heavy at first. It might not move the first week, the first month, but if you keep showing up, if you keep pushing, the day will come when you won't be the same anymore. You'll be in motion, and nothing will stop you but you. Don't wait for the world to validate your progress. Don't wait for applause to feel worthy. Learn to clap for yourself every time you make a move forward, no matter how small. Learn to be proud of that 1%. Be proud of that moment you wanted to stay in bed, but you got up anyway. Be proud of that day you wanted to quit, but you didn't. Be proud of the choice you made to do one more thing when it would have been easier to make excuses. That's not small. That's everything. People will try to rush you. Life will try to distract you. Fear will try to freeze you. But when you've trained yourself to honor the 1%, nothing outside of you can take you off course. Because you're not chasing hype. You're building discipline, and discipline isn't loud. It's not about showing the world. It's about showing yourself who you really are when no one's watching. That's where confidence is born. Not in praise, but in private obedience. Not in popularity, but in perseverance. There's a reason the gym is full in January and half empty in March. Because most people want change without consistency. They want the results of effort without the grind. But that's not how life works. The ones who transform are the ones who understand the principle of the 1%. The ones who say, even if I don't see results right now, I trust the process. Even if it's slow, I'm still moving. Even if no one sees it, I'm still doing it. That's strength, that's power, that's maturity. When you think about greatness, don't just think about moments. Think about systems. Think about showing up. Think about waking up every day and choosing to build something even when you don't feel like it. Because emotions are temporary, but discipline that lasts, that builds, that multiplies. That's how legacies are made. Not with one big explosion, but with consistent sparks that light the fire within you and refuse to go out. Let others chase intensity. You chase consistency. Let others sprint and burn out. You walk forward every day and become unshakable. Because when you own your 1%, when you protect it and nurture it and feed it daily, you'll find that you don't just change your results. You change your identity. You become someone different, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't fold, someone who doesn't need hype to move. And the best part, once you learn how to give that 1% in one area of life, it starts spilling into other areas. Your discipline at the gym starts affecting your discipline at work. Your patience at home starts affecting your patience in public. Your ability to delay gratification starts building your wealth. It's all connected. It all starts with small wins, and small wins stacked over time create unstoppable force. So stop trying to leap ahead 10 steps. Just take one, then take another. Keep doing that over and over. And one day you'll look back and realize the climb wasn't as hard as you thought. It was just about staying in the game, staying in the fight, 1% at a time, one day at a time, one breath, one push, one choice that no one else saw but you. And that choice, it made all the difference. Let me tell you something most people never understand. Life doesn't demand that you do everything all at once. Life doesn't ask you to figure it all out in one day. Life doesn't wait for the person who knows the whole planet waits for the one who takes the next step, the next inch, the next breath of courage. That's the 1%. That small move, that shift, that act of faith that says, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I was yesterday. And if you keep doing that, day by day, moment by moment, you will look back one day and realize you've come further than you thought was possible. The 1% isn't a shortcut, it's the long road, but it's the road that lasts, the one that builds you from the inside out. It's the work that most people won't do because it looks too small, too simple, too slow, but what looks small today becomes strength tomorrow, and what looks like a whisper now becomes a roar in the future. You've got to trust that. You've got to believe in the power of progress even when you can't feel it, even when your circumstances look the same, even when nobody notices, because the 1% isn't about recognition. It's about resilience. You will have days where everything in you wants to quit. You'll wake up tired, discouraged, overwhelmed, wondering if what you're doing even matters. That's the test. That's where most people stop. But if you can stand in that moment and say, I'll give what I have today even if it's only 1%, you're already winning. You're already stronger than you were yesterday. You're already building momentum that others can't see, but you'll feel it. Deep in your bones, you'll feel it. People get trapped thinking that if they don't move mountains today, they're not making progress. But let me tell you something. Moving one rock matters. Clearing one path matters. Lifting one weight matters. Saying one kind word matters. Writing one page matters. Reading one paragraph matters. Saving $1 matters. Don't let the scale of your dream paralyze your action. Don't let the distance between where you are and where you want to be stop you from taking the next step, because you don't reach the top of the staircase by flying. You climb one step at a time. The 1% mindset is not glamorous. It won't make headlines. It won't give you instant applause, but it will give you something more valuable. Character, endurance, self-respect, and those things are priceless. They're the foundation of everything else. You can lose money, you can lose followers, you can lose comfort. But if you've built character through consistent effort, you'll always find your way back. That's the power of the 1%. It's the quiet construction of the person you're becoming. And that person, that's who's going to walk into your destiny when it arrives. You can't wait until you feel motivated. You can't wait until everything is perfect, because that day may never come, but the opportunity to be 1% better. That's here, that's now, and if you can take that seriously, if you can lean into that truth, you'll discover that you don't need everything. You just need enough to move forward, 1 inch, 1 effort. One commitment to show up and honor the journey even when it's hard, and yes, it will be hard, growth is painful, progress is uncomfortable, you'll be tempted to compare your journey with someone else's highlight reel. You'll be tempted to believe that slow means stuck, but don't fall for that. Slow is strong, slow is focused, slow is deliberate, because slow gives you depth, and depth gives you strength, and strength is what carries you when speed runs out. You don't train to be fast, you train to be faithful. You don't rise because you're better than someone else. You rise because you didn't stop when it would have been easier to quit. That's the mindset you need. That's the grit you've got to develop, the discipline to show up and do the work whether or not it feels good, whether or not the outcome is immediate, whether or not anybody claps. Think about a tree. You don't see it growing every day. You don't hear it stretching. You don't notice its roots going deeper. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. And when the storm comes, that tree stands. Not because it grew fast, but because it grew steady. Quiet, strong. That's what your 1% does. It's the root work, the foundation, the internal growth that the world won't see until the fruit starts showing. But when it shows, it's undeniable. The difference between those who make it and those who don't. It's not talent, it's not genius, it's not luck. It's that quiet decision, repeated over time, to keep building, keep believing, keep moving, no matter how small the progress may feel, because faithfulness always beats flash, integrity always beats intensity, steady hands always build longer, lasting structures. You're not building for the crowd. You're building for the calling, and your calling requires consistency. It demands discipline. It doesn't wait for your comfort. It waits for your commitment. So when you feel tired, remember that your 1% is enough. When you feel small, remember that your step forward is a step closer. When you feel behind, remember that your race is not against anyone else. It's against who you were yesterday. And if you gave your 1%, then you're winning. You don't need everything to be perfect to begin. You don't need everything to make sense. You just need to keep your heart locked on your why. Why are you doing this? Why did you start? Why does this matter? Let your why carry you through the days when the how feels too heavy. Let it remind you that the seeds you plant today don't bear fruit tomorrow, but they will, in time, with water, with sunlight, with patience, and with your 1% over and over again. You ever seen a dam break? It doesn't happen in one blow. It happens after constant pressure, constant water, constant flow. Then one day, boom, it cracks and everything changes. That's your life. You might not see the dam breaking yet, but every act of discipline, every inch of growth, every 1% is pressure. And that pressure is building power. So when the breakthrough comes, and it will, you'll realize it didn't happen all at once. It happened because you didn't give up when it looked like nothing was changing. You want to be excellent, start small. You want to be great, be consistent. You want to lead, serve first. You want to shine, be willing to grind in the dark. That's how it works. That's how the best are made. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not through the applause, but through the silence. Not when it's easy, but when it's hardest. And they still choose to keep going. There's something powerful about people who stay committed when it's boring. When it's painful, when it's quiet, because those people are dangerous. You can't manipulate them with fame. You can't distract them with trends. You can't shake them with setbacks, because their commitment isn't based on feeling. It's based on principle. And principle doesn't bend. Principle endures. Principle builds, and that principle, that's what your 1% will teach you. It will teach you to trust the process, to ignore the noise, to believe in the slow, steady, faithful path. The one that doesn't rely on shortcuts, the one that doesn't make excuses, the one that says, if I gave what I could today, then that's enough. And if I do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the next, then nothing can stop me. Not because I did everything, but because I did something consistently. So let others chase big moments. Let them post their highlight reels. You stay grounded. You stay faithful. You keep building your 1%. And one day, when the world finally sees what you've been working on, they'll call it a miracle. But you'll know. It was never a miracle. It was work. It was grit. It was decision after decision, step after step. Day after day, it was 1% over and over again, and that more than anything is what changes lives. That's what rewrites legacies. That's what builds kings and queens, leaders and legends. So don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't doubt the power of today's effort. If you gave your best, if you honored the moment, if you moved the needle forward even a little, then that is enough. That is worthy. That is everything. Because 1% is all you need. And if you believe that deeply enough to keep going, then nothing in this world can hold you back. So here's the truth, etched in the bones of every champion, every builder, every overcomer. You don't need to have it all, know it all, or do it all. You just need to show up and give that 1%, that one act of courage, that one choice to keep going, that one moment where you silence the doubt, ignore the noise, and say, not today, I won't quit today, because the secret was never in the big moves. It was always in the small ones, done with consistency, done with faith, done with fire in your soul even when your body is tired. You give 1% every day, and one day the world will look up in awe, wondering how you did it. But you'll know you didn't wait for the perfect moment. You created progress inch by inch, step by step, decision by decision. That's how empires are built. That's how legacies are born. That's how you become unstoppable. And if you can keep that fire, if you can protect that discipline, if you can honor that 1%, then nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever be able to stand in your way.